So leading into the most recent September Nintendo Direct, there was a ton of hype and speculation online from gamers and insiders alike, suggesting that yes indeed, this could be a Zelda blowout event. And while we did see the release date and title reveal for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, we did not get other heavily rumored projects, many of which GameCube remasters. And when that comes to the Zelda side of things, most notably Wind Waker and/or Twilight Princess HD. And one interesting idea I've seen popping up online more and more is the conversation of could Nintendo be planning some Zelda-focused Direct with a blowout deep dive into Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, as well as a surprise project or two to hold us over in the meantime as Zelda fans. And in today's video, I want to throw in my 2 cents on whether or not I think we should expect any kind of Zelda-focused Direct from Nintendo officially anytime soon. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. As I mentioned, guys, we are just tackling one massive, exciting topic if you are a Zelda fan, and that is the idea that you may be seeing talked about online lately, suggesting that is Nintendo planning some kind of Zelda-focused Nintendo Direct, whether that be game-specific, where it's all focused on Tears of the Kingdom info, similar to how we saw Nintendo do a Splatoon 3 blowout focus direct where it showcases multiple modes and new additions to that game, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles 3 getting that same treatment where you see a detailed 29-28 minute presentation focused around all of the intricacies of that new release. Or we could see it be something similar to Mario's 35th anniversary focus direct when it is a Mario celebration for the series, and maybe because we don't know about any 2022 Zelda title, and historically Nintendo likes to have one new Zelda game per year hit, maybe not only do we get Tears of the Kingdom info and that be the show closer or back half of the event, but we actually get some long rumored titles like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess in the meantime. And Nintendo just felt the need to separate it from something like the September Nintendo Direct, and to firstly address that part of the conversation. And my thought process around it is, as much as I would absolutely love that idea and be blown away as a Zelda fan to have a Zelda centric Direct similar to Mario's 35th anniversary, where you just get all of these Zelda announcements all packaged into one 20 or 30 minute presentation, I truly do not believe we are that lucky as Zelda and Nintendo fans. I don't think we get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD at all, unfortunately, until 2024 at the soonest now, just with the spotlight all now being shifted to Tears of the Kingdom and the ramp up around that marketing. And while there was a lot of talk online from numerous names in the industry, Jeff Grubb being a big one this time around that was confident that these games would be at the September Nintendo Direct, he ultimately owned the fact that he did not verify the source that was suggesting that to him, and essentially got caught up in the hype and talk online around it, and just logically thought, like many of us did, that yeah, these games make a ton of sense to bring over to Nintendo Switch, and they're the perfect stopgap to fill time while we're waiting on Tears of the Kingdom. And clearly we now know that that did not happen. And could Nintendo throw a curveball and Twitter drop these games or do a Zelda centric Direct in the next month or two and launch them in holiday season? Yes, it's possible, but I am very much in the camp at this point that if you want to play those games anytime soon, meaning anytime before likely 2024 at the earliest, you might as well go start shopping for a used Wii U and pick them up that way, because I do not believe we will be getting those classic ports brought over in the near future whatsoever. Now, when it comes to Tears of the Kingdom, however, and how Nintendo may choose to market this game, that's where I do think there is somewhat of a possibility that we could be talking about a Zelda-focused Nintendo Direct. Maybe it hits as early as January, maybe it's not until after the February event where there is a traditional Direct and we get something like a March or April Zelda blowout Direct where we get all of the details and questions asked around that game finally answered. That is one possibility that I would entertain the idea of. However, I do think I can make the case that with a game like the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and now knowing the title being Tears of the Kingdom, I don't think you need that 29-28 minute focus direct that really explains all the intricacies of the game. I think that yes, Nintendo will market it heavily, and they will probably put out multiple very hype gameplay overview trailers, multiple story trailers, and launch trailers as we typically see them do with a Nintendo game that is a big focus for them. I don't necessarily think that you want something like a 30-minute deep dive into a game that is very heavily story driven and has deep lore implications, I do think that even though people think maybe we haven't seen enough of this game so far with what Nintendo has shown and kind of drip fed us over the last few years, I don't think you want to know too much. At least I personally don't. I definitely want to experience this game and uncover all of the exciting things it has to offer as I am playing it, and that may just be more of an old school Zelda fan mindset, but I don't think that that's very far off from how a lot of Zelda fans feel, and Nintendo is not reinventing the wheel with this game, where even when we saw a lot of focus on things like the treehouse gameplay sections for Breath of the Wild, the original, it was open world Zelda, and they kind of had to showcase and explain how that would work, and we more or less know some of what to expect this time around with the sequel to Breath of the Wild, because it is not the first open world Zelda. We know it will be taking place heavily in the original Hyrule, but also in the skies and potentially in the grounds beneath, and we may see things like the return of traditional dungeons. We may be on numerous quests to hunt down 7 tiers of the kingdom. That's where my mindset falls with all of the lore that has been deep dived and decoded from numerous people online. That's not what this video is focused on, but I do think that something like hunting down 7 tiers makes a lot of sense, and hopefully it's from 7 different elemental themed dungeons that I absolutely love as a core staple of the classical Zelda games. And I think all of those things can be highlighted, and the game can be marketed in the right way and build up all the hype and anticipation you need from fans with things like gameplay overview trailers, launch trailers, and whatnot. And we might just get one final highlight reel of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at the February Nintendo Direct, and then we know to expect it out May 12th, 2023. And I think if you have that final send-off from something like a late February Nintendo Direct, that is most likely all you need. So ultimately for me, while the idea of a Zelda-focused Direct is a very fun prospect to talk about and to break down whether or not it could happen, I am also very much more in the mindset of, as a Zelda fan, I am not setting my expectations to see any Zelda-focused event from Nintendo personally, and while it could happen around Tears of the Kingdom as opposed to a Zelda blowout event, because I really believe that Nintendo only saves that for special anniversary occasions, and you could even argue that the Mario 35th Direct was put together just because it was the height of the pandemic in 2020, and they really needed to have something in their typical timeline of when they reveal games. So I do think that something similar like that out of left field for the Legend of Zelda series, when it's not tied to any special anniversaries, is just highly unlikely flat out. But if Nintendo does have some additional things up their sleeves that we don't know about right now for Tears of the Kingdom, maybe like a special edition Nintendo Switch OLED, and they want to really dive into some gameplay of the game, maybe have more of a treehouse focused event, or have a actual branded Zelda Nintendo Direct for Tears of the Kingdom, and then they close the show with the special edition OLED Tears of the Kingdom Switch, like that's an entire possibility as well. Although I'm still hopeful maybe Nintendo will launch this thing alongside of more powerful hardware, and whether or not you think that's going to happen, that's perfectly fine. That's just where I personally am setting my hopes for what Nintendo does, not my expectations, but just my hopes, as I really would love to play the sequel to Breath of the Wild in a crisp 60 frames per second and potentially up-resed via DLSS when in docked on a 4K resolution. I think that would be fantastic and would definitely make the experience that much more enjoyable for me. Although at the end of the day, Nintendo is masters of creating the gameplay experience first, and regardless of what resolution and frame rate I am running Breath of the Wild 2 in, or excuse me, Tears of the Kingdom, that's how long we've been saying Breath of the Wild 2, I can't get it out of my head, I will be happy with this game. And I do believe that Nintendo is utilizing the additional development time well, and Zelda fans, why it's fun to talk about the idea of Nintendo Directs focused around it. I think that this is going to be more traditional and more on Nintendo's general marketing cycle for this game, with a lot of focus on Twitter, a lot of focus on new trailers dropping on their channel, and probably the next overview trailer or big deep dive trailer will come at something like the traditional February Nintendo Direct presentation. But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, all your personal thoughts and speculation on whether or not you think there is a strong possibility to see something like a Zelda branded Nintendo Direct in any capacity, whether or not you think that's a Zelda centric Direct, and maybe there's still hope for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD. Are you in that camp, or are you like me, where you've pretty much at this point in time completely accepted the fact that we are not getting those titles anytime soon, and that likely 2024 would be the earliest that we would see Nintendo bring them over, if we see them at all? And do you think that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gets the Splatoon 3 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 treatment, where yes, it does get its own game-focused direct, but that is all that's there, and maybe we get the announcement for a special edition OLED at an event like that? Or do you more likely believe that Nintendo will keep this on their more traditional marketing schedule, and that the February Nintendo Direct will likely be the last deep dive trailer or overview trailer we will see of the game leading into its ultimate May release? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.